Happy Tuesday, everybody. Guess what we're doing today? That's right, meat. If you can see right now, I got a cowboy rib rack. Cowboy chops, these long bones on a ribeye. This is also used as a prime rib of beef. It's called an export cut. Well, I'm gonna trim this. I'm gonna cut it into humongous 7 different chops, and then we're gonna cook it. But first, we need to understand that we have to trim all this fat off because nobody really likes eating fat, and I can give you an individual ribeye as opposed to cooking the whole thing, which is also an option. So I'm gonna start trimming away this fat so I can see exactly where the meat starts and the fat ends. So fortunately, they have this thing called seaming. Seaming is when you can actually pull off some of the skin with your fingers without actually cutting into the meat or the fat. So I'm gonna make one cut to release a piece. That way, again, so I can get my hands in there. That way, because you don't wanna take off too much meat. So I need to just kind of use the bones. You wanna point your knife towards the fat so that you don't cut into the meat itself. So what I'm doing is I'm just kind of feeling my way around the fat and touching the bones without cutting slashes in my beautiful ribeye. Work your knife around. I'm gonna pull this whole thing off in one shot. You need a sharp knife for this, by the way. It looks like I'm struggling, but I'm really not. I'm just trying to get as much of the meat unadulterated as I can. See that? That's what the rib fat looks like after it's been taken off correctly. And then now I got a nice clear view of where my actual ribeye is. Don't need this anymore. We'll make a skirt. You can make a skirt or a pair of shoes out of it. You'll be the first one on the block with it. Now we're just gonna take off thin layers of the other fat. You don't want to take off too much because you don't want to lose the top of the ribeye. They took out the chine bone. The chine bone is what holds the two of these together, which is the actual ribs of the animal. So they have to take the chine bone out with a saw. This will also help me to make 7 exact cuts right through without struggling. On a ribeye, there's a lean side and there's a fat side. If you start with the lean side bone, you can make straight cuts and I'll get 7 equal portions of ribeye. If you start with the fat side, because the animal is round, the bones curve in. So then you have to work your way around the bone, and then you're gonna get these weird diagonal shaped ribeyes, and you're gonna lose half of the last chop. I'm gonna start cutting, should be able to cut straight through. Oh yeah, look at that. And that, good people, is a cowboy ribeye chop. See the marbling in that? The marbling is the fat within the lean. That's gonna give you all that flavor, because fat is flavor. More flavor, more better. Look at those are fucking beautiful. You see how easy I'm going through it? Move the knife. You don't wanna squish it. You wanna move the knife and let the knife do the work. See that? That's where the fat side starts peeking through. As you can see the difference between the first 2 cuts and the last 3 cuts is the fat side of the ribeye starts peeking through. Whereas if you like a leaner cut of ribeye with the same marbling, you have choices. I'm gonna serve this for 2 people. I'll slice it off the bone with the bone on the plate. I just don't know if I have a plate big enough. Why not now? Oh yeah, that'll work. Look at that. Imagine that, all grilled or blackened. And there we go. And that is how you successfully expedite a full export cowboy cut ribeye. There you go, nice 2-inch stick. What do you say we get cooking now, huh, folks? The best part, aside from eating it. Now we're in the middle of service. It's go time. Somebody orders it, Let's slap it on the grill. A little bit of oil, and then we're gonna slap it on the grill. Push it down so we get all the inches of this huge chop touching the grill so we get a nice caramelization on it. And because we only have direct heat coming from the bottom of this, I'm gonna burn the bones because nobody likes raw bone and meat fat. This is why I get out of bed in the morning. One palatable orgasm at a time. I'm not burning the steak. I'm not touching the ribeye meat with the torch. I'm only burning the bones and the fat around it. I'm about to flip it and you can see what I'm talking about. Get a good grip. Woohoo, look at that. All right, so our tomahawk chop is almost finished, but after I cook it on the grill, we need to sit it on the plate and let it rest. Because there's only outside cooking, we need to let the inside catch up with the outside. There we go. We're gonna let this rest for about 7-8 minutes, and then I'm gonna slice it. Now I'm gonna slice it so you can see what it looks like on the inside. All right, we'll start from the other end. Sort of like a jigsaw puzzle that we're gonna put back together. A little red wine sauce. And some green. I'm only adding a little bit of salt because of how thick the meat is. That way they can actually taste the meat without adding any extra seasoning. And that's another Tuesday of flavor. Welcome to my kitchen.